Hello everyone, welcome to Maths Bridge. Thanks for joining with us in exploring Google Colab. We are in process of learning Google Colab with Jupyter combination. So Jupyter notebook which we use for Python programming. So Google Colab is a cloud-based virtual machine. Jupyter notebook is an interactive development environment for Python programming. So the virtual machine and Jupyter notebook which are available now on cloud for the free of cost. So don't miss this opportunity to leverage this cloud based virtual environment for you to learn Python, or using this environment for building your Python models, AI ML models, right? This is more useful for everyone. It has a sort of like 100 GB space allocated in the instance for entire file system, so within which you can actually do plenty of things with the free of cost. It also provides hardware accelerators. If you need more power, then you can actually choose rather CPU, then you're going to go to the GPUs and TPUs. If you look at a few features of the Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Notebook is an interactive notebook environment to develop open source software, open standards and services. When you say interactive, what that means is like interactive coding means you can write a code, you can test the code in a small chunks, right? So it allows a developer to create and execute the code in cells. So in a Jupyter notebook is you have a cells. Each cell is basically like an executable unit where you can write a code, you can execute there itself. Okay, and you can experiment while iteratively you are building your code. That's a beautiful. So data visualizing the data, in the Jupyter notebook is more, the powerful way of actually saying that Jupyter notebooks works well for you to write a code and visualize precisely for the data analytics part. It supports some multiple languages like in Python or so easy documentation, right? Jupyter notebook supports a markdown, you know uh, your piece of code. So the extension files that what we have is like ipynb files. Okay, Python notebook files. Basically it's a shareable, you can download the file, you can upload the file, that that's what it meant to say. So like we discussed, Google Colab is a free cloud-based integrated development environment for Python, right? So it it we use for data analytics and machine learning and teaching Python. For Google Colab is like a best an online free tool. Here is the Google Colab website URL, colab.research.google.com. The landing page of the Google Colab looks like this. Visit us at our YouTube channel, Maths Bridge. Don't forget to subscribe the channel. My fellow learners, please do visit our YouTube channel, Maths Bridge. We have plenty of content is already made available for you to access them. At your convenient time, please do visit. Surely, I can say that there is some takeaway. We have plenty of playlists are getting added into our channel. Most vibrant way of actually learning things and then collaboratively sharing with others, take an advantage of it and then try to build, you know fill the competency gap wherever you think it might helps you, and then pass this the word with all your friends, neighbors, who might be actually in need, might definitely actually help, counting on you and your help as well. So now getting into the topic, Google Colab. So what I would be doing is that I have a browser, in front of my screen. You could see it. So I am, trying to, you know, log into Google Colab. So one thing I am going to remind you back again. So best practice is that you should log into your Google account, in your Google landing page. What happens is, like, Google Colab requires Google account, as well as Google Colab also uses like your Google Drive. So if you can see, I logged into Google using my Google account. I can also go and access in YouTube and Drive. So Google Drive, if I can click, it takes me to my Drive. I think you can see it, right? So I will be also doing that, uh, I will get into in a Google Colab. So like I said, Google Colab is like a free online cloud virtual instance. We can see that virtual file system which is made available for us, right? If you can click on this, you can see that all the file structure, in my Google Colab virtual file system. It takes a while, but you can see, folders appears on your screen. Okay, so if you can click on this in a folder, it takes you to the complete files in a file system, files that you can see as a, directory, hierarchy organization. So bin, boot, content, data lab, dev, etc, home, lib3, lib34, and so on. So most likely a user, created files will go and sit in content folder. Underneath you can actually create it. Either you are upload the file, or you write programs, or you can borrow the file from the GitLab, uh, you know or the Google Drive. You can always see, the content getting mapped to your content folder. Okay, so I can also, remind you that Google Colab uses, Python Jupyter, right, notebook. So you can create an instance like a new notebook in Drive, something like this. It takes a while, but the instance gets created for you. Great. So you can see here, that little tiny thing, right? So the file name you can see as a untitled.ipynb. This is a file. So this means like this file, where do you think like this file gets created? This file gets created in your Drive. So if you can see a drive here, right? So I can click on my Colab notebooks, then I can see this file, see untitled file. So you can rename this file, you rename like my first file, and then save the changes. So there is a, little while for syncing of your Google Colab and then Drive, but this file getting updated with the name that used for renaming the file. Drive, refresh the Drive. Do you see now file name get changed here? Jupyter notebook. So in the Jupyter notebook, what is that we have to understand? We have to understand where you are going to write a code, where you are going to document, the data related to the code. So we have concept called a cell in the Jupyter notebook. Cell can be like a code cell or text cell. If you can click on this area plus text, then it prompts you like a cell for adding a text. Let's say write a code to print message on console, right? This is the first problem statement I created. Okay, so then you can add the code cell. Okay, in the code cell you have to write a code, Python code. So what is the solution? Print, you have to use the print to, display on console. and then put a message, let's say hello, any message, right? Hello message, hello, may this bridge. Let's say I did this. So how do you execute this code? So text cell is nothing but a non-executable cell. This is only we use for documenting purpose, whereas code cell, what you are going to use for executing, write the code and then test the code. You see here a little tiny thing. This will actually spin when you click here. So this means like run the cell. Let's click on this one. Do you see spinning the wheel, and then produce the output, hello math bridge. Okay. Likewise, you can create a as many as code cells that you needed, or else text cells that you needed. You can also move the cells up and down. So let's say this is a cell. Using these arrows, right, up arrow, down arrow, you can move the cells like this. You can do this. You can also start writing like your second problem statement and then solution for it as well. Let's say my second problem statement basically print n natural numbers. Print n natural numbers. Here I can actually comment the line. This I don't require it. Okay. This one is my second problem. I'll put this 2 dot. Okay. Now I will try execute this one. What it does, you can see the spinning the wheel and prompt the user, because I use the input. So user input would be, now let's give 5. What happens, like it takes the user input and then try to print n natural numbers. N means 5. So 5 natural numbers is what? First 5 natural numbers is what it gets printed on the console. Let me see. When I click on enter, you see the output, right? So first 5 natural numbers are 1 2 3 4 5. You can try out again, rerun this cell, and then it prompts user. Let's put like a 15 now. Enter. Do you see the output? 1 to 15 is what displays. So likewise, you can create a cells as you needed, and then you can capture the problem statement. You can also capture the code. You can test it. So this is way, this is more interactive, and then you can write document. You can write your code snippet. You can test it, right? And then all the changes are going to be saved in the drive. Okay, in the runtime, periodically these changes gets updated. So you do see here saving. So you have saved the file. All the changes are saved. That means, like, where do you see this file? This file you see at node, your drive. So go to drive and then refresh this page. Do you see the timestamp? So that means, like, this is the recent changes that you can see. You can download this one. You can also upload this file back. So those things can be done. Okay, let me tell you the other part. This is the file system provided by the Colab. This is called a virtual file system, which is a temporary file system. Means this session is called a active session. During the active session, whatever the changes that you made in this file system will retains only in that session. If you close the session, if you reset the session, that means you are going to reset the file system back to original state. That means, like, if you try to save any content in this file system, you make sure you save them either in the Google Drive or in the GitHub. Otherwise, you gonna lose the all the content of your development activity. One more thing I wanted to share with you, the content folder. Do you see this one? This folder is called a default working directory where the files are stored. This is called a default working directory file. Okay, if you can try upload any file, the file will be get stored in this folder. How do you do that? So this is a code snippet that that we can use for upload the file. So if you can run this one, what it does, like, it will actually prompt this facility. You can choose the file, right? You can choose the file now. Let's say you can choose the file now. Choose the files and then select from your local disk and then upload it. Great. So the file is loaded, and then you can see now here it is what you are seeing, right? So in this is called a default working directory for user. Whenever you are actually uploading the files, those files will be saved in this content directory. This is called as a temporary or the folder, a working folder for you. So this content will be lost, newly added content will be lost after session restarts. Okay, how do you see the content of this file? You can see the content of the file by double clicking here. Here it is. Okay, because this is a Python file, this statement is not recognized by the system. So what you do, like, you can delete it or you can comment it. Okay, so the changes are automatically recognized by the system, and then it will save changes, right? If you can see star is gone away, that means like these changes are get stored. So if you wanted to test this one, you can still use it, different commands. Let's see, create a one more cell, and then you can try type exclamatory, the bank symbol, and then pwd, present working directory. This is like a bash command, and then try execute this one. It will show you like a current path. You are at content path. If you can also see the other command, like a listing files in this place, right? So use ls command. It will actually shows you current files and folders that are exist. You can also modify this as a ll. Long list is what it will displays. This is how it is. So you have this file, right? If you wanted to execute this file, what you have to do this, you can use one more linux command, like this symbol, and use python as a keyword, and then type this file, right? You can run it. It produce the same output. So it asks for number, you put 10 number, then it displays. You see one thing, like you wrote the code directly here and then you execute it. Second thing is, if you have the python files, python file can also be executed directly in this cell by itself. So likewise you can do all things in this environment. Okay, let me recap what we covered. We logged into Google Colab, and then we explored the Jupyter notebook, few features, and then we started writing the code, and then we also talk about like where this file gets loaded. You can rename the file changes gets saved automatically, but the file you can see is in Google Drive, that you can observe it. Next thing what we talk about, like this virtual file system part, right? So this file system and then the state of the file system is what you talk about as far as active session concern. If you load any content from your local drive to this system, you can use many ways, but one of the options that we talk about, like this code snippet, is what you use for load. So by default working directory is content directory. Anything that you uploaded, the file gets loaded into this folder, is what you have seen. We also talk about writing a sample code and then execute it. We also talk about two texts, what you can call the cells, code cell and text cell, what it does and all we explore. We can also see like the few of the options that is provided, and then if you want to open any file, this is how I think it appears. We see that also. Okay, and the next thing what we talk about is like executing a bunch of commands. This is called like Linux shell commands, bash shell commands. So you can use these commands on this Jupyter cell to execute them and see the output of this command. Okay, these are all things we spoke about in today's session. So like I said, Google Colab is a virtual file system, which is a temporary file system, and then make sure you always save the content before you close the session. Otherwise, like I said, you're gonna lose the all the content that you know saved in this temporary file system. Make sure you use two options. One is either you save the content on your drive, or GitHub. This is how you can actually preserve your work status, and then you can restore back when you resume the work. So always keep remember, Google Colab only provides a runtime environment for you to work on your Python related part. Either it can be like coding practice, or it can be like building a models, or you can do like any research activity, like building a POCs for conceptualizing your use cases and things like that. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, click on bell icon, and leave the comments. Happy learning. Thank you. Stay tuned to upcoming sessions.